When a cigar feels tight, most reactions are immediate. Humidity must be off. Maybe the cut wasn't deep enough. Maybe it's just a bad cigar. And those conclusions usually happen within the first few draws. But resistance doesn't begin in your humidor. It doesn't begin with your cutter. It begins much earlier, at a table, where tobacco leaves are arranged by hand. Today isn't about tight draws. It's about understanding construction and understanding what handmade really means. Before we go further, we need to clarify something important. Not all cigars are constructed the same way. Premium handmade cigars typically use long filler, whole tobacco leaves that run the length of the cigar from foot to cap. Those leaves are layered intentionally. They influence combustion. They influence flavor. On the more affordable side, you'll often find short filler cigars. Short filler is chopped tobacco, frequently made from the trimmings left over during long filler production. That doesn't make short filler inferior, it simply means that the interior structure behaves differently. With long filler, airflow depends on how whole leaves are arranged. With short filler, airflow depends more on overall compression and density. When we talk about filler bunching, we're primarily discussing long filler cigars, because whole leaves can overlap unevenly, and when they do, airflow changes. There are two primary philosophies for bunching long filler. Both have existed for generations, and both produce exceptional cigars. Entubado, traditionally associated with factories in Cuba, entubado involves rolling each filler leaf into its own individual tube before grouping them together. Think of it like bundling several thin straws side by side. Each leaf forms its own channel for airflow. When executed well, this method allows very controlled combustion, but it requires patience, precision, and consistency. More common in factories across Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic, accordion bunching folds leaves back and forth before rolling them together. It's efficient, stable, time-tested. The airflow depends entirely on how evenly those folds are layered. If one section compresses slightly tighter than another, you won't see it from the outside, but once the cigar is lit, you may feel it. That localized density is what we call filler bunching. Not a knot, not debris, just density. Neither technique is superior, both depend entirely on execution. A cigar is not an empty pipe. Air doesn't rush straight through it. It threads its way through microscopic spaces between leaves. Those spaces determine everything. When they're balanced, combustion is calm and controlled. When they narrow, resistance increases, and resistance affects more than how hard you pull. It changes how much oxygen reaches the ember, how hot the cigar burns, how dense the smoke feels, how concentrated the flavors become. A slightly firm draw can slow combustion and concentrate flavors, but there is a threshold. Once airflow drops below balance, combustion struggles. That's the line between character and obstruction. There's a misconception worth slowing down for. A tight cigar is not a stronger cigar. Strength comes from nicotine content and where the leaf grew on the plant. Airflow restriction affects combustion. It does not increase potency. A resistant draw may feel heavier, but heaviness and strength are not the same thing. This is where perspective matters. These cigars are rolled by skilled craftspeople. Many of them roll hundreds of cigars per day. Repetition builds mastery, but it does not eliminate human tolerance. Even in respected factories, whether in Cuba, Nicaragua, or Dominican Republic, slight variation is still inevitable. Not because standards are low, but because tobacco is organic. Leaves vary, hands apply pressure. A small difference at the bunching table, barely noticeable in the moment, can become very noticeable once combustion begins. Handmade does not mean careless. It means human, and human includes tolerance. You don't have X-ray vision inside a humidor. You can learn to read signals, and this part takes time. It's not something you try once and instantly master. It's a skill that develops with repetition. There's a simple technique, often mentioned by Maz over at Holt Cigar Company. Using 2 fingers, apply a very gentle squeeze along the body of the cigar. Not aggressive, not pressing hard, just enough to feel density. You're looking for consistency. A well-constructed cigar should feel uniform from foot to shoulder. Subtle firmness is normal. Sharp, sudden hard spots can indicate uneven internal density. This doesn't guarantee a problem. It simply gives you information, and over time, your hands get better at interpreting that information. Rotate the cigar slowly under the humidor light. Look for obvious flat spots, bulges, or uneven areas. Most construction variation isn't visible, but occasionally, subtle surface cues reflect internal density. Awareness improves your odds. It doesn't eliminate risk. If possible, hold 2 cigars of the same size from the same box. If one feels dramatically firmer or heavier than the others, that can indicate tighter packing. Minor differences are normal. Significant differences are worth noticing. At first, every cigar may feel the same. That's normal. Your hands haven't built reference points yet, but the more cigars you handle, without squeezing excessively, without obsessing, the more refined your perception becomes. Eventually, you don't even think about it. You just feel it. That takes time, and that's part of growth. Once the cigar is yours, there's one more step. After cutting, take a gentle cold draw. You're not looking for wide open airflow. You're checking for extremes. Blockage, sharp resistance, inconsistency. Balanced resistance should feel effortless, not loose, not strained. If resistance shows up once you're smoking, slow down. Pulling harder doesn't create airflow, it creates heat. Take smaller draws, pause longer between them. If smoke is present and combustion is stable, you may simply have a firm cigar. If it struggles to stay lit, or produces almost no smoke, you're likely dealing with significant internal density. At that point, it's construction variation, not humidity, not your cutter, and not necessarily a reflection of the entire brand. One cigar is data, not a conclusion. It's easy to assume that higher price should eliminate variation, but price reflects tobacco quality, aging, fermentation, and skilled labor. It does not turn a handmade object into a machine-made one. Mechanically uniform exists, it's just found in a different category. Handmade cigars trade perfect consistency for character, and that trade-off is intentional. If every cigar were rolled extremely loose to avoid complaints, they would burn hot, fast, and flat in flavor. Construction is not about maximum airflow, it's about balanced airflow. Too loose is flawed, while too tight is also flawed. The goal lives in the middle. Did you know? Ring gauge changes airflow dynamics. A 60 ring gauge cigar contains far more internal volume than a 42. To maintain combustion balance, bunchers may subtly adjust internal density based on size. So sometimes what feels like firmness is structural calibration. The aim isn't effortless airflow, it's controlled combustion. Filler bunching isn't dramatic, it isn't scandalous, it's structural. And once you understand how airflow, density, and human craftsmanship intersect, you stop reacting and you start evaluating. Not every firm cigar is flawed. Not every tight draw is your fault. Understanding construction changes the way you smoke. And growth, in this hobby, comes from understanding. Before we close this one out, there's something I want to say. We just crossed 1,000 subscribers, and I'll be honest, I didn't expect that to happen this quickly. This channel started with a simple goal: to understand cigars more deeply, to grow together, to have honest conversations about the hobby. The fact that over 1,000 of you choose to spend your time here, learning, reflecting, sitting with me in the Honest Humidor, means more than I can properly put into words. This isn't about numbers, it's about growth, and I'm incredibly grateful you're part of it. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.